today. Oh my God, what is that? Oh my God, what is that?
How's it going, everybody? It's your girl Ray, and welcome back to the channel. Now, this is a video that I've been wanting to make for a while, and now that I have a YouTube channel, there is no reason for me to not subject you all to my rants. Now, those who know me over on my TikTok and Twitter, I would refuse to call that site X, by the way, because it makes no fucking sense. Also, side note, what the fuck is Aegon's obsession with that letter? He has SpaceX, AIX, and I think one of his kids is named X something. You got something to explain to us, Eon? Or Elon. See? This dude. Anyway, sorry for that side rant, but I've always been confused by that. Anyway, back to the top of this video. For those who know me from my TikTok and Twitter accounts, know that I am a big fan of George R. R. Martin. His writing style is very interesting, and what I find the most amazing about him is how layered his work is. George R. R. Martin never gives you a straightforward answer when it comes to things. Just when you think you know where his work is going, the right answer is not where you expect it to be. It's almost always the other way. And because of this, it makes George R. R. Martin's work pretty difficult to adapt. Well, it should make it. However, he's also a person who really has all his stuff pretty much laid out, minus the current series. And it seems to be a pattern in which George R. R. Martin gives adapters a fucking blueprint for his works, and they completely go off the rails. Now, full disclosure, I do not 100% believe that House the Dragon was a mistake. I gotta get that clickbait. I gotta get that clickbait. Some good did come from this show, but it also has a lot of problems, both with the show itself and the fandom. I've tried to include timestamps in the description bar below for you guys to jump around should you care for it. Before we dive in, if you enjoy in-depth discussions about your favorite shows, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you'll never miss out. Engagement boosts my videos in the YouTube algorithm and brings my rants to more people. Now let's go ahead and get this started, shall we?
I won't make it easy for you now.
Okay, so let's start out with a little history lesson, shall we? House of the Dragon received a straight-to-series order in October 2019 with the casting beginning in July 2020 with and principal photography starting on April 2021. All this happened in the UK. The series premiered August 21st, 2022 with the first season consisting of 10 episodes. The main cast boasts of almost godlike star power with Paddy Constine, damn my dyslexia, but with Paddy as Viserys II, Steve, dang, again, dyslexia, acting up already. Steve Toussaint as Corlys Velaryon, Graham McTavish as Hera Westerling, Eve Bassett as Princess Rhaenys, Olivia Cook as older Alicent Hightower, Emma Darcy as older Rhaenyra Targaryen, and of course, Matt Smith as Daemon Targaryen. Now, the primary showrunner is a guy called by Ryan Condal, and George R. R. Martin was supposed to, let's put a pin in this, guys, we're going to get back to this later in the video, was supposed to be as well. However, it quickly became apparent that it was mostly Ryan. Miguel Sapochnik from the original Game of Thrones signed on as an executive producer, as did Sarah Hess from Orange is the New Black. Ryan was also the primary writer, with Sarah and Miguel sometimes directing and writing their own episodes. Again, put a pin in this. It quickly became aware, however, to show watchers that there was some strange things happening behind the scenes. Now, I'll go into deeper detail when we get to the writing section of the video, but it's very clear from early on that Ryan, Sarah, and Miguel all had their own ideas on what House of the Dragon should be / is about. Let's first start with Miguel, who, as one of the previous directors of the original Game of Thrones, was brought in for House of the Dragon. Many fans love this because Miguel is known for his crisp and amazing action scenes. Just check out this little clip from Battle of the Bastards. Because remember, he directed that episode. realized that Miguel wasn't exactly like the good dude that we thought he was. For example, he basically forced the showrunners and other producers to hire his friends and family on set. For example, the weirwood tree in the Red Keep is allegedly the face of his mom, and Alicent's one and only lady in waiting is Miguel's wife. Again, I'm going to go into this when we get to Alicent Hightower, how the queen consort of Westeros having only one freaking lady in waiting makes like zero sense in the writing section of the video. But you can already see how Miguel has like no problem using nepotism to get what he wants. His wife acting wasn't even that good, if we're being honest. Like, Miguel literally made the showrunners give his wife a whole ass side plot where she's the one, for some reason, like, secretly spying on Alicent all this time for Mysaria. Like, okay. And then you have Sarah, who seems to not only have, like, the highest quality beef with Daemon, but wants us to feel sorry for Aegon II. I'm going to go into the deeper utter assassination of Daemon's character by Sarah and Ryan in the character section of this video. But Sarah doesn't seem to understand how people can understand / connect with Daemon, but not Aegon II. I don't know, Sarah. Maybe it's easy for people to understand the misunderstood younger brother of the king who's done nothing but serve and protect his house, fight for them, and support his niece wife, compared to the spoiled brat who commits the most terrible crimes in Westeros. I'm going to try to explain Aegon II's problems without getting this video suppressed, because he has a lot, and like his basic war crimes make zero sense. And you know, he also doesn't face consequences for his actions. And then there's Ryan, who said that his favorite character is Aegon II, which again, blaring fucking red flag. I could rant for like an hour on my problems with these three, but my main problem comes to this. George R. R. Martin gave them a blueprint. Like, it's not like the original like series where he's not finished. Oh my god, I forgot he's not finished. God, every day I wake up, I remember he's not finished with that series. Like, House of the Dragon, which is, you know, based off Sessions and Fire and Blood, has a clear beginning, middle, and end. Yet for some strange reason, Miguel, Sarah, and Ryan just seem to like go on their own fucking path. Which takes us to the next section in this video, the source material. Now, House of the Dragon had the potential to be an epic addition to the Game of Thrones universe, but it seems like the writers missed a few crucial mementos from the source material, Fire and Blood. Which mainly the Dance with Dragons comes from, like, the little section called The Princess and the Queen. So let's go. First off, the missing plot points. I get it, adaptations require some changes, but when you start omitting key elements that define the Targaryen legacy, you're kind of playing with fire, pun intended. Like, for some reason, the showrunners decided to claim that this is the true version of events. Heavy air quotes on true. But even this version doesn't even make any sense. The Dance of Dragons is a page-turning tale filled with intricate political maneuvering, alliances, the betrayals. It's the heart of the Targaryen Civil War. Well, one of the Civil War. They have a second one happening later called the Blackfire Rebellion, which I also need to talk about in a later video. Anyway, yet House of the Dragon seems to gloss over these complexities, opting for a very rushed and oversimplified version of events. And speaking of rushed, let's talk about the breakneck speed in which House of the Dragon just hurtles through its plot. Like, I get that we can't have 10 seasons of political intrigue, but there's a sweet spot between rushing and dragging. The intricacies of the Targaryen rule are reduced to mere bullet points, us feeling like we've watched a dragon-fueled highlight reel. I feel like this was a missed opportunity for a lot of more development and backstory. Like, there's not, like, for example, the ages. There is nothing wrong with the adult actors, Emma Darcy, Matt Smith, Patty, Olivia Cook, portraying the older characters. The problem comes is when you have these young actors, Emma Carey, who plays young Alicent, and Mally Alcock, who plays, you know, young Rhaenyra, in these adult situations. And y'all know which one I'm talking about. Y'all know which ones I'm talking about. In my opinion, it would have made better sense to have 1 or 2 full seasons, not just like half a season, with the younger actors to get us connected with them. That means, of course, young Daemon, Corlys, Rhaenys, Emma, Rhaenyra. Like, honestly, you know, if they're going to do the whole Rhaenyra and Alicent were childhood friends, we need to see them in their childhood so we can understand why they're friends. And then maybe it will be more better and understanding with, you know, the whole betrayal that happens later. The only people that would not change in actors would be the actors for Viserys, Otto, and Kristen Cole, due to them being close to their Fire and Blood ages. Well, Viserys is a little bit older than how he is in Fire and Blood. Like, the age gap they decided to make between him and Alicent makes like zero sense. We'll get to that in his section of like the character assassination of certain people. Also, another thing, can you talk about the honorable costumes? Like, the Dance of Dragons is supposed to be taking place during the height of Targaryen wealth and prosperity, yet we have the crown princess running around in like these ill-fitting dresses made of what looks like to be made of plastic, frayed and tangled wigs, and horrible back set designs. Again, the Targaryen dynasty is supposed to be at its peak here. The treasure is full, dragons and magic is alive in this world. Yet, why does it look like a freaking apocalypse has happened? Also, let's talk about the lack of nuance, which Fire and Blood is like filled with. One of the hallmarks of George R. R. Martin's work is the depth of his characters and the moral ambiguity of their choices. House of the Dragon seems to have like missed the memo. Characters that were once morally gray are now painted with broad strokes of black and white. It's like trading in spaces of complexity for a simplistic color palette, and it's a disservice to the source material. For example, take Rhaenyra's three eldest sons. In the show, it's pretty clear they were all fired by Harwin Strong, her sword shield, and the City Watch commander. In the books, Rhaenyra's sons are hinted at being fathered by Sir Harwin. And it's not even hinted at by really the people who matter. Her was 16 in the books when she was married to Rhaenyra and Laenor. And Jace was born when she was 17. Viserys in the books, for some strange reason, also seems to have like no problem in marrying off his kids young. Like, Helena is 13. That's right, 13. But she marries Aegon, who was 14. But then again, I'll get to that in my, my character section about Viserys. God, that dude. He really does not get as much hate as he deserves. Like, he deserves a lot of hate, I'm sorry. Anyway, it was the Greens who said that Rhaenyra's eldest sons weren't Laenor's. The proof was that Jace and his brothers didn't look like Laenor, who, like Rhaenyra, had the typical Valyrian looks of silver gold hair, blue eyes, and fair skin. All boys had brown eyes and hair. So here's my problem with this. Because a lot of people in the fandom take this to heart, be like, see, she bore bastards, even in the books. The Greens' evidence that Jace and his brothers are illegitimate is really weak when you look at other contexts. Like, we went to the Ned School of Genetics, because Fire and Blood does not describe what Emma, Rhaenyra's mother, looks like, nor does it describe what Harwin looks like. The people writing Fire and Blood were alive and at court when Harwin and Emma were around. So why are they not described? Like, why? It doesn't make any sense. Like, why are these very important people that the Greens use as catalysts, basically to be like, oh, Rhaenyra's sons are bastards? Why aren't they described? But you know who it does describe in Fire and Blood? Rhaenys, Laenor's mother in the books, is described as having dark hair and purple eyes. Not only that, but if we use the information about Emma's bloodline, it gives us some clues about, possibly where those boys got their dark hair from. Emma is half Arryn, half Targaryen. Her mother is Daela Targaryen, daughter of that bitch-ass king and his queen mother, Alicent, and Lord Roger Aaron. That reminds me, I gotta make a video about my absolute beef with Jaehaerys's ass, and he really was one of the most terrible men on the planet. I'll get to that in another video. For what we do see of House Aaron inside the current series, and for what we know about the noble houses around the Vale, is that it's normal for them to have dark hair and dark eyes. Little Robin in Game of Thrones has pale skin, dark eyes, and dark brown hair. Little Robin from Game of Thrones has pale skin, dark eyes, and dark brown hair. Genetics is a lottery system, and it's literally just the luck of the draw in, you know, the Song of Ice and Fire world that Alicent's kids all were born with silver gold hair and purple eyes. All of them could have easily come out looking like her, especially since dark hair and eyes is a mostly dominant trait. The reason why I say this is because it makes the Greens' arguments in the books a lot more questionable. They're spreading rumors, dangerous rumors, that they know could get Rhaenyra and her kids killed, when there's actually very little fact and evidence behind them. The show does not do that. They're like, yep, these are 100% Harwin's kids, which is fine, but it ruins one of the core themes of the dance. Rhaenyra's 3 eldest sons, in the eyes of the Greens, weren't worthy because they didn't look like Targaryens. Even though all of Rhaenyra's kids hatched dragon eggs in their cradle, and none of the Greens' kids did either. Like Aegon, Helaena, Aemond, and Daeron all had to bond with like either hatchlings or older dragons. The show also cuts out one of the core themes of the dance, which is misogyny. Otto Hightower says this as clear as day in episode 4, why the dance happens.
Did you enjoy the hunt, Your Grace?
Well enough.
How fared my grandson?
The ladies Lannister and Redwine were quite taken with him.
As they should be. He's the future of the realm. You yourself witnessed the scale of the celebration, how it united the men. When you bore the king a son, you ended 15 years of uncertainty and doubt. Aegon, like his namesake, was born to rule the Seven Kingdoms. If Viserys were to name him heir, the realm would fate him for it. Does this not please you? Do you not want your son to be king?
What mother wouldn't?
You mustn't ignore the certain truth that if Rhaenyra were to step over Aegon to ascend the throne, the realm would tear itself apart.
They all swore obeisance to her. Our house among them.
That was before Aegon.
Rhaenyra will be a good queen.
It wouldn't matter if she were Jaehaerys himself, born again. Rhaenyra is a woman.
Rhaenyra isn't worthy of the throne because she has alleged children, because she has alleged illegitimate children. She's unworthy of the throne because she is a woman and refuses to conform to the suffocating patriarchal standards for women of Westeros. We're going to get into this a bit more when I talk about the characters, which starts now. Now, House of the Dragon had the opportunity to breathe fire into iconic characters from George R. R. Martin's lore, but at last it seems the showrunners opt for a different path, leaving a lot of fans scratching their heads and wondering if we're even like in the same Westeros. Let's start with the fiery protagonist, Rhaenyra. By the way, I don't know who, because there are some out there who try to claim that she's not the main character. She's literally the main character. Source material. Rhaenyra is a complex figure torn between duty, desire, and the ruthless Game of Thrones. She was made crown princess. She was 6 or 7 years old, and it wasn't to spite her uncle, as the show decided to portray, but because in the books Viserys really loved his daughter. He cherished Rhaenyra. Also, so did her grandfather, Balon, making sure she had any and everything she could ever want, and teaching her proper statescraft. House of the Dragon erases all of this. Rhaenyra seems very much like a side character in her own story, with House the Dragon deciding to spend very little time in her youth, and then all of a sudden, boom, she's an adult and has made all these decisions we never see / should care about. House the Dragon suffers greatly from telling versus showing. Many, myself including, believe it's a terrible writing choice. Fire and Blood is a heavily biased account, which we mostly get only one side. Why did House the Dragon not decide to show us the other side? And by sides, I mean it's Fire and Blood is written mostly by a pro Team Green Maester called Maester Gildane. So we mostly see and hear and get a lot of stuff from his side, but we also get things from Mushroom. We also get some things from, I want to say it's like a Septa as well, and a couple other maesters as well. But majorly it's men writing, men in a very patriarchal society, writing about a woman who in their mind is not worthy of the throne just because she's a woman. Not only that, but House of the Dragon makes Rhaenyra look rather stupid in what again is her own story. For example, when we first meet Rhaenyra, she is flying on Syrax. And you can tell from their interactions that both have a very close bond. In fact, for those show-only people, many don't know that Syrax not only hatched in Rhaenyra's cradle, but both took to the skies at only 7 years of age. Rhaenyra is canonically the youngest dragon rider in history, in what is essentially the height of Targaryen magic and dragons. It's something that's important, especially since it was very rare back then, well, at the time, for women to be riding on dragons. Like after Rhaenys, Rhaenys the Conqueror and Visenya, only a handful of women claimed dragons. Mostly because, again, Jaehaerys is bitch ass, but we'll get to that in another chapter. That is something important. We deserve to see a flashback, a mention, something. When it comes to Rhaenyra's relationships with other characters, we don't even really get to see that other than Alicent and Daemon. Her relationship with Alicent is practically fan fiction, and her relationship with Daemon is practically sexually charged from the moment they're on screen together. Rhaenyra is also shown to be very politically underwhelming to the point where she looks like an idiot. She makes several mistakes and horrible decisions. Things that would not make sense for a girl who was crown princess since she was 8 years old. Viserys literally had Rhaenyra when he was holding court. He had Rhaenyra at his side, sitting in a little stool or sitting like a little chair, at one step below him on the Iron Throne. He made sure she was involved with everything. Also, for some strange reason in the show, they make Rhaenyra extremely passive. Those who have read the books know that Rhaenyra might be called several things, but passive and meek is not one of them. There is no way on this earth that book Rhaenyra would have allowed the things show Rhaenyra let show Alicent get away with. Book Rhaenyra was very quick to put people in their place and let it be known that she was the future of the Iron Throne. We kind of get a glimpse of Rhaenyra's temper and her fieriness when it comes to protecting her children, such as in the eye cutting scene. But even that, it's not the Dragon Queen that Rhaenyra is known to be in the books. I'm not saying that Rhaenyra needs to be 100% like her book counterpart, because again, it's a heavily green side biased account, but the show's direction is weird. It makes the character seem two-dimensional and boring. Why are we supposed to root for her? Moreover, they explicitly altered her range, changing the dynamics of her relationships and diluted the impact of her struggles. It's like robbing the character of the very essence that made her story so tragic and intriguing in the first place. So besides Rhaenyra and Daemon, Alicent Hightower is done the worst in House the Dragon. Literally, my hierarchy goes Daemon, Rhaenyra, Alicent. Because these three are oh my god, they have such character assassination. First off, they changed Alicent's age and how/when she meets Rhaenyra, okay? Because in Fire and Blood, Alicent is 18 years old when she marries Viserys and 19 when she gives birth to Aegon. She is not 14, 15. The ages of the characters in this show and the showmaker's decision to make Alicent a child, getting married and having kids, is a fucking red flag. I'm not saying that Viserys isn't above marrying a young girl. Emma was 11, 12 when Viserys was 15, 16 when they were married. But the fact that the showrunners took a very critical tie to Rhaenyra's life, i.e. her mother's young age, and that was the main reason why she kept on having miscarriage after miscarriage, and gave it to Alicent, is telling of their bias, which is funny because a lot of people claim that the showrunners are Team Black when you can clearly tell that they're not. It's actually something that the showrunners do a lot in my analysis of like rewatching House of the Dragon, is that they take a lot of other female characters' pain and trauma and just give it to Alicent. I have no idea why. They also, like Dumb and Dumber, you know, Dan and Dave from the original Game of Thrones series, love giving women unnecessary pain and suffering. I can't go into detail, unfortunately, a lot, because, you know, this video will get suppressed. But basically, like Emma's traumatic birth, the marriage non-consent going on between Alicent and Viserys. You know, the choking scene that Daemon does to Rhaenyra. Yeah, that was not a thing in the books at all. My biggest gripe is that when it comes to Alicent, she isn't the innocent wallflower in the books like the show portrays. She is cunning, shrewd. She is a political player navigating the dangerous waters of court intrigue. Her desire and drive of Aegon to be king isn't because, oh, her daddy said so. It's something that Alicent wants. See, let's do a little backstory, okay? Because like I said, a lot of people are show-only folks. Alicent and Rhaenyra in Fire and Blood had a pretty good relationship. But up until Alicent had sons, her attitude instantly changed. Because Alicent was basically raised and, like, thrived in a patriarchal society. And in this patriarchal society, sons are expected. There's no fucking law, but sons are expected to become the heirs of the family. So Viserys saying, no, my daughter, let alone my daughter from my first marriage, is going to become queen, was a huge problem, which then shows that misogyny is the core of the dance. Like, Alice's drive isn't out of this unfounded, made-up fear for her children. I'm actually going to touch on this more when I get to making Otto's video, but it's something that she wanted. The show turns her into this victim of spousal abuse, even though, like I said, there is no evidence of this in the books. Again, showing showrunners' love of making women suffer. It makes her easily a manipulated victim of all the men around her. It sidelines the depth and the complexity that made her such a complicated figure. Like, I want to say they said they changed this because they didn't want Alicent to become another evil stepmother trope. Y'all, this would have been the perfect way for us. This would have been like the perfect portrayal, though. Which some people say it's because of Lena Headey basically just devouring the world of Cersei. Which I will say, nobody could have touched Cersei like she could. But I've seen Olivia cook and other stuff, and I'm saying that she was absolutely devoured the role of basically evil stepmother Alicent. Also, another thing, there's like this stupid forced side thing where Alicent apparently suffers from suppressed feelings for Rhaenyra. Like, remember how I said they take stuff from other female characters to give it to Alicent? Yeah, that was a Lena thing. But it wasn't suppressed at all. No, those Rhaenyra and Lena were definitely bumping uglies. But, sorry. Gotta close this section. But Alicent's relationship with Rhaenyra is another victim of this oversimplification. In the source material, their dynamic is multifaceted, driven by political ambition, family ties, and personal grievances. Remember, Alicent in the books was the one Alicent, not her father, in the books was the one who hid Viserys' body for almost 2 weeks so Aegon could be crowned. Alicent was the one leading the Greens. Alicent was the one doing all of this to put her son on the throne. Yes, it ended with everybody's death, but she did it because in her mind, that's what was right. And House of the Dragon unfortunately turns it into some stupid generic rivalry, missing the opportunity to explore the intricate layers of female power dynamics. Right, let's go to the real injustice of this show, and that is absolutely horrible writing for our rogue prince himself. Daemon Targaryen, the charismatic and mysterious figure known as the Rogue Prince, is a fan favorite from George R. R. Martin's lore. And to be honest, he's also like one of George R. R. Martin's favorite characters as well. Like I know he says Tyrion, like a lot of people bring up that he says Tyrion is his favorite character, but he's also been like very clear that Daemon is also one of his favorite characters. Brought to life by the amazing Matt Smith, I will admit that I was 100% sold on the casting when it was first announced. Daemon is a fucking badass and an absolute beast when it comes to fighting, and I honestly feared that Matt wouldn't be able to physically do all that. However, now I can see no other person in the role, or at least older Daemon. I still feel like they should have casted like a younger actor for like a younger interpretation of Daemon if they did, like seasons 1 and 2 was setting up the younger characters, and then we got the older version in season 3 and 4. But we can only hope. But even from like his first appearance, there were some issues. For example, one of the most perplexing choices, like I said, was to age him up. In the source material, Daemon's youth is a critical aspect of his character, influencing his relationships and decisions. By aging him up, the show sacrificed the essence of the Rogue Prince, kind of just turning him into another brooding hero. And we know how these Game of Thrones boys just love to brood. Like, oh my god. Some of the times I wonder, are we sure that Daemon isn't a Stark with how he freaking broods every 5 fucking minutes? Well, at least while he was away from Rhaenyra. Furthermore, the writers seem to have like completely missed the mark on Daemon's personality. In Fire and Blood, he's a complex character, neither wholly good or entirely villainous. The icon of someone who is morally gray. In Fire and Blood, he is described as being both the best and worst man alive. To those he loved, he was this unshakable ally. To his enemies, he was their nightmare. Like Klaus Malkerson.
You're gonna sink or swim, you're gonna learn the truth. No matter what, you're gonna learn the
I felt like Klaus and Daemon would be like total besties. They would love hanging out and committing war crimes together. Like, Daemon would appreciate Klaus literally eating the hearts of his enemies, and Klaus would want dragon flying tips all over the world. That reminds me, I gotta put reviewing the originals on my list of videos to make. I suppose I could do the Vampire Diaries, but I don't want to rot my brain. Then again, I do have to demand justice for Bonnie. I'll figure it out. Anyway, when it comes to Daemon, the show opted for a more straightforward portrayal, stripping away the layers that made Daemon such an intriguing and morally ambiguous figure. Fans expected the Rogue Prince, not a diluted archetype. Daemon's relationships also suffered from particular alterations. His dynamic with his niece Rhaenyra is crucial to the Targaryen Civil War. It was severely downplayed. Like, there was some weird ass sexual tension between the two almost the second they're alone together with their first introductions. According to most of the agreed sources in Fire and Blood, Daemon and Rhaenyra didn't have a physical relationship until after their respective spouses were dead. Or I kind of believe and some of my other friends who basically like study Fire and Blood and George R. R. Martin's works as well, believe that Daemon, Rhaenyra, Laena, and Harwin were all in this polycule just living their best life over on Dragonstone and High Tide. I mean, there is some evidence that supports this, and if you want me to make a more in-depth video about it, comment below. But to me, it feels like the showrunners missed the opportunity to explore the intricate web of emotions and loyalties that define their connection. Daemon's relationships should have been the beating heart of his character. But House the Dragon missed the chance to showcase the complexity that makes his story so compelling. Like, they really messed up a lot with him. And like I said, like I said earlier, Sarah's personal beef with Daemon would just never not be funny, because like, why do you hate this man so much, Sarah? And now let's focus on Viserys Targaryen. He is a pivotal figure in the Targaryen saga and is a character known for his internal struggles and the weight of the Targaryen legacy on his shoulders, which by all rights shouldn't really be Viserys's, technically. By the complex, not laws, traditions of Westeros set in place, the true ruler at the moment should be Rhaenys. She was the daughter of the crown prince and was raised for ruling by her parents. However, Viserys is the son of Baelon, and after Baelon's death, Jaehaerys' bitch ass thought it'd be a wonderful idea for the men, the noblemen, to choose who should be the next heir. Look, Jaehaerys is only remembered as a good ruler because he kissed the nobles' asses. But other than that, he was a terrible father to his kids, and even a worse husband to his wife. I stand by the belief that Alysanne should have been the true ruler of the Iron Throne, because without her, Jaehaerys would have burned the fucking kingdom to the ground. Anyway, Viserys, damn, he's cute, I have a lot of similar names. Viserys suffers from what a lot of other characters do in House of the Dragon, and that's the oversimplification of his character. In the source material, Viserys grapples with the intricate dynamics of ruling, family loyalty, and creating a nuanced portrayal. The show, however, presents him as a more straightforward character, lacking the internal turmoil that made Book Viserys so compelling. The internal conflicts and the moral ambiguity of his choices are overshadowed by a more conventional depiction. The show misses the chance to explore the gray areas of Viserys' decisions, turning him into a more predictable and less interesting character, in my opinion. The richness of George R. R. Martin's creation seems to be lost in this adaptation. Another head scratcher is the decision to adjust Viserys' age. Like, I really firmly believe that some of these writers and showrunners should be on a fucking list with how much they seem to enjoy putting young girls in these situations with grown-ass men. Like, okay, so in the source material, Viserys ascends the throne at a relatively young age. I mean, like, he's not young because, like, his father, because Rhaenyra is, like, I want to say, like, 2. No. Yeah, Rhaenyra is, like, 2 or 3 when, he's officially made heir. And then, like, you know, he becomes king, like, not that long after. And then Emma has a couple more unfortunate miscarriages. And then, you know, Rhaenyra is 8-ish, yeah, 7 or 8-ish when he remarries with Alicent. So, like, he's not young, but he's not the 50 fucking year old dude that the show portrays him to be. Like, they decided to have him marry 50, like, you know, age change wise, they decided to let him marry 15-year-old Alicent when she was not that young in the books. Alicent was 18 and had Aegon at 19. However, she then had Helena and Aemond within 3 years of each other. Yeah, by like the time she was 24, girl had 3 kids. She was either 23 or 24, but the girl had 3 kids. Viserys only let her breathe like 3 years before Daeron was born, and that was only because Rhaenyra had just given birth to Jace, and he wanted the two to become milk brothers. Viserys marrying a young girl, he literally does in Fire and Blood, had like no problems with it. However, it was Emma, not Alicent. The showrunners took Emma's young age and gave it to another character, Alicent, to make her a victim. Basically, you know, like I said, taking other women's suffering and giving it to Alicent to give her this victim mindset, this victim backstory. And I personally believe that his complexities of his relationships with his family members, advisors, and allies is very much oversimplified and reduces the impact of these connections he has, because Viserys is known, well, was known as a family man. He put family above everything else, just like Daemon does, but kind of different, because while Daemon was not afraid of basically going to war for his family, literally, Viserys tried to negotiate things with words. And that does not help. That does not work when you have a wife with 3 sons who comes from a very conservative background, who clearly wants her son to be king, and yet you have given your daughter that place that your wife believes should be her son's place. Like, y'all get what I'm saying? So I actually had a lot more to say, both about before mentioned and unmentioned characters: Laena, Otto, Harwin, Corlys, Rhaenys, Kristen, Aegon II, Helene, and Aemond. I wanted to talk about them as well, but this video is already hella long. For like example, there's this strange ass thing where Team Green stands have like baby girlified Aegon II. Let me rant a little bit about this, because like that man was horrible and so much worse in the books than he is portrayed in the show. In fact, they kind of might touch on this in season 2. Like, for all of you Aegon II stands, let me break it down for you like this. No woman, minus his mother, was safe from Aegon II. On his wedding day, he had roaming hands and roaming eyes. Remember, Fire and Blood is written by a pro-Green Maester, and he did not stray away from talking about Aegon II's crimes. A lot of Team Green stands will say, oh, we can't judge Westeros in a modern lens. You're somewhat right about this. It's a fictional world, correct, but there are laws against what Aegon has done. Like, this man, if this man was not the son of Alicent Hightower, who 100% was covering up his crimes for Viserys wouldn't find out / blocking victims from coming forward, both in the show and in the books, because there is no way Book Alicent did not know what Aegon was doing, he would have been banished, or even worse, guilted. Because, like I said before, there are laws against hurting women and children this way. Alicent covering up for Aegon II's crimes also shows that she's even a bigger hypocrite, because the Faith of the Seven that she holds so close to her heart in the show and in the books 100% condemns Aegon II's actions. And it's because of this and some other batshit takes that I have seen Team Green stands make that has made me realize something. I plan to go deeper into Blood and Cheese and try to get it back into people's heads that the deaths of Helena's children were 100% the fault of her brothers. I just don't have time to go into greater detail, because again, this video is already hella long, but I will say this. Actions have consequences, and when you are the alleged king, air quotes, there are rules you're supposed to follow. Aegon not condemning Aemond for the murder of Luke, and yes, in the books that was 100% a murder, as well as the show, because we know dragons can feel their riders' inner emotions, and Vhagar knew that Aemond wanted Luke dead. Aegon instead threw a party to celebrate Luke's death, and in doing so, it put his sons' heads on the chopping block. Aemond almost nearly broke guest rights, but he also committed the worst sin in Westeros, kinslaying. Also, Aegon II later does this as well when he kills Rhaenys, which is seen basically, kinslaying, for those who don't know, kinslaying is seen as putting a curse upon your house. And Aegon's sons died because of his actions, and his daughter was murdered by an ambitious hand the king who wanted his own daughter to marry the ruler of the realm, thus putting his own blood on the throne and ruling House Targaryen through them. sound a little familiar. So instead of like going into greater detail about, you know, all these characters, I just plan to give them their own breakdown videos. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of breakdown videos, but I think that it's only fair, you know. But like in conclusion, the character choices in House of the Dragon are undeniably strange and problematic. The showrunners and writers have left out an important aspect, changed ages, and completely altered plots, sacrificing the depth and nuance that defined George R. R. Martin's characters. It's kind of like watching a different tale unfold in like the same setting. What are your thoughts about these character changes? Let me know in the comments below. Alrighty, so let's talk about the dragon in the room. The problematic fandom that has sprouted out around House of the Dragon. Now, House of the Dragon was meant to unite the fan base, to bring together those who yearn for more tales from the world of Westeros. However, the reality was the exact opposite. Let's address the main problem that I have seen, and that is fucking toxic fandom behavior. Like, I kind of expected this to happen when it was revealed that, you know, it was going to, like, House of the Dragon was not going to base around the conquest, but instead about the Dance with Dragons. And because the main character is a woman, Rhaenyra, I know a lot of male characters would not, like, a lot of male watchers would not be able to handle this. But it's not really them that I'm actually seeing this from. Like, I still see a couple heavily misogynistic and shitty takes from like male fans of the show, but majority of what I'm seeing is coming mostly from women. And to make it even crazier, it's coming from people claiming to be Team Green. Like, it's honestly disheartening to see a fandom once bound by shared love for a universe now being like practically torn apart. Some fans have even taken to personal attacks and online harassment when they get into these heated debates, forgetting that, like, you know, diverse perspectives is what makes this fantasy genre so enchanting. I, for example, do not like show Alicent. Show adult Alicent. Young Alicent was forever my baby Pookie and get behind me, baby girl. However, adult Alicent, no, because she knew what she was doing. She is an adult at that situation. So for example, Alicent's like 10-year bullying of Rhaenyra was of her own accord. Her father was not in the capital. She probably had like letters and stuff going back and forth, but she chose to bully Rhaenyra and her children for those 10 years. She is a grown-ass adult who, yes, has trauma, but that does not give you, like, literally the right to become a bully. So many other people have freaking trauma, and they do not become bullies. Or become what Aegon II becomes. Like I said, I cannot go into very deep detail on what he does because I do not want this video to get suppressed. But it's like, when I am also very clear about this on Twitter, I have received freaking death threats over it. Most of the people who are claiming to be Team Green are show only, because let's be honest, there weren't these many people who were Alicent, Otto, Aegon II, and Aemond stans until House of the Dragon came out. Like, it's fine to have your favorites, but to go out and wish death on people because they don't agree with you, yeah, not cool. Not cool at all. And then there's the ship wars. Oh my god, the fucking ship wars. Remember how I talked about how the showrunners decided to make Alicent have alleged suppressed romantic feelings for Rhaenyra? Well, they took a 95% confirmed polycule relationship Rhaenyra had with Laena, Daemon, Harwin, Laenor. Rhaenyra and Laena, for example, are described as more than fond of each other in the books, which is A Song of Ice and Fire speak for, yeah, they were banging. Polyamory and queer, at least what we call queer relationships, is nothing new to the Targaryens and Velaryons. You're telling me the fucking dragon riders who practice brother-sister marriages, basic witchcraft, blood magic, were drawing the lines at queerness? No, it would have been cool to see this in House the Dragon because Rhaenyra's closeness and her relationship with Laena are also used against her in Fire and Blood. The Faith of the Seven treats queerness the same way conservatives do. It's an abomination in their eyes. And the only reason Aegon, Rhaenys, and Visenya got away with it is because they were married before the conquest. But even then, they kind of didn't really care because, like, after Rhaenys died, lords were bringing their daughters to the Red Keep to try to seduce Aegon, as if Visenya was not going to drive Dark Sister between all of their hearts and gild Aegon with it if he so much as looked at another woman. Also, side note, Laena, Rhaenyra, and Daemon are the second conqueror polycule that was promised, and I stand with that. Tell me they couldn't have been a good group. I'll wait for you to not prove me wrong. But I cannot help but notice that it's the Alicent Rhaenyra shippers who are rude to people who don't support that ship. I remember I once tweeted about how I wish House the Dragon had kept the Laena and Rhaenyra relationship, and some random Rhaenyra and Alicent shipper popped up and told me I was being ridiculous. We went back and forth with her commenting something horribly racist, because, you know, Laena is a black woman in House the Dragon, and saying that Laena's own dragon killed her, and meanwhile Alicent lived and crowned her own son king. Now, naturally, I blocked her ass, but it just proved my point. That the horrible writing and crazy fandom House the Dragon has created. Instead of embracing the myriad of relationships woven into the narrative, some fans have chosen to fucking battle over their preferred pairings, forgetting that the beauty of a fantasy world lies in its ability to accommodate different interpretation. Also, let's talk about the expectations. House the Dragon unfortunately had the Herculean task of living up to the legacy of Game of Thrones. However, some fans set expectations so high that even the mightiest dragons could struggle to reach them. The result? A kind of collective sense of disappointment, resentment, and a growing divide among the fandom. Nostalgia goggles can be a double-edged sword. Many fans wear them with pride, reminiscing about the golden age of Game of Thrones. However, this rosy view also leads to unfair comparison with House the Dragon, hindering the new show's ability to stand on its own merits. One of the most problematic aspects of the House of Dragon fandom is the neglect of the source material. While adaptations are bound to make changes, dismissing the rich lore of Fire and Blood and the Prince of the Queen can lead to a skewed understanding of the narratives. Like, not that long ago, there was this Team Green person basically saying that I was trying to what they say? Oh yeah, they were basically saying that I was trying to negate Daemon's involvement with the Blood and Cheese and put the blame on somebody else. Here's the thing. I did not say that Daemon did not have some part to play in Blood and Cheese. Like, you know, unfortunately, he sent the assassination. But the core root of Blood and Cheese came from Aegon and Aemond. Those two are the main reason why Helena's kids died. And it's in the proof about that. But this person kept on going back and forth with me, saying that, you know, I was wrong, this, that, and the other, even when I was bringing up evidence. And it's like, it's okay to be a show-only watcher. Like, I'm not saying that's wrong. But my problem is when you try to correct people who are both show and book who are both show watchers and book readers. Because there would be no House of the Dragon without Fire and Blood. Even though they took a lot out of Fire and Blood. And then you have it, fellow dragon enthusiasts. House of the Dragon had the opportunity to honestly be a worthy successor to Game of Thrones. But the problematic writing choices, from missing plot points to rush storytelling, random original characters, and like the lack of like the lack of nuance have left many fans feeling unsatisfied. However, as we close this chapter and eagerly await the wings of season 2 to unfurl, let's not lose sight for the potential and redemption and improvement. Besides all the bumps along the way, there are some moments of brilliance in House of the Dragon. Let me first figure it out.
Oh, let's be nice. Let's be nice. We don't have to go there. I mean, you're not wrong, but you didn't have to say it. I mean,
Okay, I figured it out. I figured out something nice to say about this show. There were stunning visuals, very brief glimpses of complex character dynamics, and the promise of untold stories from the Targaryen legacy. As we look to the future, let's hope that the showrunners and writers have learned from the criticisms, and season 2 will be a chance for House of Dragon to rise from the ashes and truly spread his wings. I mean, we've kind of already seen that with the costumes, because the costumes and the wigs in this season look freaking amazing. Like, I have optimism that it might be better. Like, better might be a strong word, but I have optimism that it might be a good step forward, you know? And here's to hoping that, you know, the dragons soar higher and the characters become more compelling and the world of Westeros captures our hearts and imaginations once again. If you enjoyed my deep dive into, you know, my problems with House of the Dragon and want to know more about my thoughts on it, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more discussions on the fantastical world. Until the next flight into Westeros, this is Rachel, but you know, you can also call me Ray. This is the Rachel E signing off in hopes of a brighter and more dragon-filled future. Vhagar Morhalis, my friends. Also, one more thing before this video ends, I forgot to mention this, but I'm going to start posting my monthly content schedules at the end of my videos, so you guys know what the next video is going to be. We are actually having a double upload come January. I'm taking some time off to prepare for college again, to start up in the spring, and to also like get some mental brain juice going and flowing, because I've been kind of suffering with brain rot lately. But 2024 looks to be a bigger and brighter thing for me, so I am blessing you guys with a double upload. The first one is going to be about Winx Club, and it's going to basically be like an overall like view of it. I am going to go back and make later videos breaking down each episode and season, so be on the lookout for that. And then we're also going to talk about the Dragon Prince, as you can see there. And then after that, we are going to do a very funny and like batshit insane review on the Christian movie Fireproof, because that's going to be a part of a series that I'm making. Insane Christian movies and books that I devoured as a conservative Christian. Yes, there was a time in my life I was a conservative Christian. Not anymore. Very much not anymore. I'm practically a witch now. But the type of content that I consumed as a kid at the time was very interesting. And then I have Winx Club. I'm sorry, not Winx Club. And then I have ending off January with a video about Glee. Holy shit, this show did not age well. But like I said, see you guys next time, and I can't wait to see you guys again. Bye.
I won't make it easy for you now.